Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. Excuse me for scratching my nose. This is Jeffrey Davis, and we are the new, improved, formatted Radio Entrepreneurs, streaming stories as we learn about how people are dealing with this new economy, going to market with this new economy, and succeeding in this new economy, because that's what it's all about. We're a nation of fighters, grassroots country, and I don't think it's time to roll over. And I can't think of anybody else but the man who actually told me, start your radio show many years ago, and that's Marc Z and that's Marc Zwetchkenbaum. Marc Z from Marc Z Legal Staffing, President, CEO, Chairman of the Board, you name it, he's got it. Hi, Marc.
Wow. Jeff, thank you for the introduction. Great to be here.
You know, Marc, two things. Everybody's Zooming, Zooming is in, but even more important, you're doing a lot of placements for professional service firms, a lot of law firms. You're all over the country now. Every interview I go to now with clients, every meeting, they're talking about, wow, it was an employee's market 6 months ago, 3 months ago. If someone had a pulse, they got a job. And now there's more quality in the pipeline than ever before. And I bet you that's really going to affect your business and your clients as well. So I'd like you to sort of talk about both with me, because I think it's great. We've got to take advantage of the people out there. There's a lot of talent out there right now.
Correct. So Jeff, there's a misnomer right now. There aren't jobs and employers aren't hiring.
There are jobs.
Employers are hiring. There are jobs, and we're on those searches. So it's a mental state. It's like when I talk to my recruiters, it's what you're fed into. Right now, we are advising employers that are doing active hires. It's a great opportunity to upgrade your talent. During the last recession, we had some amazing searches because a lot of the employers, the first thing they always say is, well, we can't increase our headcount. So what we say is, you don't have to increase your headcount. Now is the time, and obviously you're concerned about people's welfare. So now is a time that you can upgrade your talent because you have a pool of firms that aren't hiring, but you have a pool of firms that are hiring or firms that have issues, and we can recruit you somebody to replace that average performer. So your headcount will be the same, and then that average performer can go out in the workplace and say, I was laid off due to the pandemic. It was nothing to do with my performance. And so everybody wins. And we are examples of it. I can't tell you how many times we're hearing from people, candidates that are saying, I was a casualty of the pandemic. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. So the areas that are hot areas right now that we are doing a lot of searches for are workouts, which is creditor bankruptcies, estate planning. One client said to me, actually, 3 clients said to me in different ways, who knew that this pandemic could be a boom to my business? Unfortunately, as my father would say, an ill wind blows somebody some good. People are updating their estate plans. People are dealing with probate issues with their attorneys due to unfortunate deaths of their family. So workout, bankruptcy, family law work, family law people, they say either we're going to have increased families or we're going to have more divorces as soon as the courts open up.
It's baby or divorce.
Correct. So baby, it's huge.
And estate planners, this is when people's estates are lower right now in value, this is the time to be transferring assets and looking at your wills and your estates right now more than ever before. Estate planners are going crazy right now doing work with people who are financially savvy.
Correct. We have searches at all levels in estate planning and probate administration. We even have firms that didn't want to hire, but they've said, do you have any good quality contract attorneys? So we have some contract attorneys that have started doing estate planning work because they said we only need 20 hours. So we're doing that because, as you know, we do recruiting, the headhunting, the searching, and we have a large contract temporary staffing business at all levels. So going back, again, workout bankruptcy, estate planning, probate administration, family law, employment law, employment litigation, employment negotiation of agreements. There's a lot of agreements being negotiated right now because of the pandemic and people being laid off, and you have FMLA, you have other issues. So that's really big. So you're going to see more and more litigation coming out of the COVID-19. And that's pent up. These are areas immediate. Commercial real estate right now is on pause, but what I advise clients, this is a good time. Eventually it will come back. Obviously, you're going to be dealing with a lot of negotiation of leases, and you're going to be dealing with equity issues. Now is the time maybe to pick up some talent and invest in that talent. So a few years from now, when things change, you're not going to say, oh, now I can't find people. That's what happened. There was a shortage of corporate people after the last recession because all the law firms at every size laid off their corporate people or downsized from their corporate people.
Well, I mean, I'll just speak from where I'm sitting. Massachusetts has an unbelievable talent pool like no other place I've ever seen. And before, we basically had full employment. So now we don't have full employment, and I understand that's a problem. But for an employer, there's now a talent pool of real talent available. And I think that's important for people.
Right. Well, the talent has been there. Now there's a talent that said, is my firm shaky? Do I have a future with this firm? Things that I used to like about that firm, we might not have anymore. For example, we have an attorney very social. Now the firm said to him, they may not go back for 2 years, just like Twitter. They may not go back ever. It's like, I can't work like that, they say. So he's now all of a sudden looking when nobody ever thought he would leave the firm. I've got a partner that all of a sudden looked and said, maybe I just want to, with this pandemic, I have a good 5 years left to 10 years. Maybe I don't want to work as hard. So maybe I should merge my firm into another firm or leave with my book of business and join a firm. So just being approached now, people we're finding are more open to listening about new opportunities. The people were always there. Now you have a lot of firms have laid off their fat, so to speak, their extra people, or laid off staff, but they're also evaluating their headcount. So there's a chance firms that you always wanted to be at, now there are opportunities there.
Now you also talked to me offline, 3 months ago, if I asked you to join a Zoom meeting with me, you probably would have said, Jeff, and today you are like the king of Zoom. And you've really learned that it's actually given you an opportunity to not just run your business better than maybe before, different ways, but you're also connecting with a more extensive market, and it's enabled Z staffing to reach out further. Now that's a message for all entrepreneurs, isn't it?
Absolutely. Jeff, if we had talked, and when we talked later about Zoom, I would have talked about that famous song, Who's Zooming Who, right? But now the Zooming is constantly being done by everybody. And you're right. First of all, we're now doing out-of-state business like we never before. We had a lot of clients that will say to us, can you find us an attorney in Atlanta? Can you find us an attorney in Washington? Unless it was a specific search, we would say, no, we're really in New England. Now we've had clients in Chicago, Texas, clients that we had done business with in their local location. We're now going out of state. And I think a lot of firms and companies themselves are thinking about, you know what, we can go out of state. We have the technology. We have our area can progress out of state very smoothly. People no longer care whether you meet somebody in person or have conferences in person. I was on a Zoom call last week, and one of the attorneys said he had an old-fashioned client that was his best client, and the client made him fly down to meet him in person. So he flew down on JetBlue. He said it was $22 round trip to go down and visit the client. Client met him, socially distanced in an area, had a talk with him, and he flew back, and he said, this was so ridiculous for the time. Now I'm billing the client for all this time. We could have had a Zoom call and, face-to-face for the same information. They've known me, they've met me, and it would have cost him a third of what I'm billing him. So it's just more efficient. It's more efficient for people, their work. They can move from one thing to another. No, quote, commuting costs, even in the city, walking to clients, walking to meetings, driving to meetings. It's all done with the click and switch.
I like it. Mark, I think it's great, how you describe the market and how you're using the new technology. If somebody were looking to get your advice or help with their firm, Marc Z Legal Staffing, how would they find you?
Well, first of all, it's if you go to if you just Google Marc Z, M-A-R-C and the letter Z, we come up. But our website is marczlegal.com, MARCZLEGAL.com. Marc, M-A-R-C, at MARCZlegal.com, and 617-338-1300. And Jeff, I'm happy. There's no charge for advice. We've been around the legal community over 30 years. We have a lot of relationships. Clients are, even I had a meeting early this morning. One non-client said, "Can I bend your ear?" And she bent my ear for an hour. And she says, "My God, Mark, you gave me such valuable advice." I said, "I've been doing this over 30 years, and it's my pleasure. We've been part of the legal community, not to sound corny, but we all are in it together. And anything I can do to help the legal community, candidates who don't have jobs or unsure about their jobs and want just an ear to bend, or attorneys, general counsels, in-house counsels, paralegals, legal support, anybody that needs my advice and my teams, we're here for them."
Well, that's great, Mark. And, we really appreciate having you on Radio Entrepreneurs and telling us, because we do know that one of the biggest things in this economy is that there are more people being laid off, and people aren't going to be moving jobs a lot more. Employers are going to be looking at their existing staff maybe with a more critical eye right now, and even their partners with a more critical eye. They'll have more options, and cash flow is different. So you're going to be in the middle of that storm and a good person to talk to about all those things. So we appreciate having you. I've always appreciated having you. I was on the early end on that curve.
Thank you. Cool appreciation.
Remind everybody, Marc Z will be returning on Radio Entrepreneurs, and we will have more stories right after this short break.